Hey guys, what's up? And today we are going to be talking about Darryl. So, I know I kind of said in a previous video that I wasn't going to push Darryl any higher or at all in a long time, but over the last season I actually pushed Darryl to rank 35, and there were kind of a few reasons for this, and I'll talk about them a little bit later. But on the first map, part of it was just because I had a really good partner lined up. Supernova, he's actually world record or almost world record sprout right now. He's 14-17. And this is the map that he actually got 1250 with me on. We pushed like from 930 to I pushed from 930 to 1160 on this map, and it was a very consistent push. And part of the reason is just Darryl is just a really good defender for the Sprout. It's like if other people try to rush Sprout, Darryl can defend a lot of those pushes, and Darryl has a lot of offense potential with Sprout once he gets his ult. If someone goes way too aggro against the Sprout, he can also kind of control them and take them out if you get a good ult lined in. And kind of something I didn't realize last season was you don't have to be that precise with your ult. If you're a little bit off, it's cool. You can still kill most ranged characters, and also you can actually auto aim your ult in a lot of circumstances, so that actually reduces a lot of the skill I actually think necessary to play him. But also I realized duos is the way to go. In this kind of situation, you can see the one thing you have to learn too is to use your brain. You saw there were 4 teams. We actually could see all 4 teams, so we knew to go to the right, the top right corner, and because of that, we were able to just get a really easy second place. We couldn't really get first. There was no chance because the other Sprout already had 6 power, and Sprout against Sprout, it's really the Sprout with the higher power ups who wins the match. I actually failed my pull there, but it didn't really matter. There was no way we could win. The walls were there for too long. And he could just box us in, and the Sprout can just kill us like fish in a barrel. But this map, it's really good just because Sprout, there's a lot of walls for Sprout, and also people can't get close enough if you're Darryl, and you also have your ult. The second map that we actually pushed on was Thousand Lakes. Thousand Lakes is just decent. I think it's just good because I like the map. It's very open, which shouldn't be good for tanks, but there's also a lot of these puddles, and that's really good for Darryl. You'll see in a little bit, there's actually a bit where I actually used the puddle to get closer to someone, and that's so it can really lengthen your ult. And if you have enough practice with Darryl on this map, you can really use the water in the middle really effectively to control basically all around the center. So your ult is very important, and the use is very important on this map. As you can see, I actually I'm not pushing with Super anymore. He just wasn't pushing when I was pushing, and he already got 1250, but he wanted to get a little bit higher, and I pushed with him on another map. But Apple was the partner I ended up getting 1250 with, and one of the reasons this is also 20 minutes was because I just want to pay homage to all the people who helped me with my push. There were around 5 people. There were 5 people who helped me with my push. Hawk, from a previous video, you saw him. Apple, who I also shouted out in a previous video. Supernova, and Daddy Ocean. They all helped me a lot, and also spent a lot of hours helping me push, which if you're definitely a Darryl, your Sprout's going to be doing a lot of the work. So it's like you really have to appreciate them and thank them once you finish your push, especially. As you can saw there, I used the puddle to get closer to the Gene, and you'll see in a quick second against the Brock. So here I just didn't want to get hit. I couldn't get close enough to the Gene, even with the puddle. They really have to be standing right beside the puddle for anything to work. But here you can see I literally just used the puddle effectively, and although I die here, it was enough. Just the kill was enough, and it forced the Gene into a corner, so that our Sprout or Apple could take him out really easily. So after this map, the next map that happened after was Stocky Stockades, and one thing I didn't realize pushing solos was that I thought Robo was really bad for Darryl, because although he can take it out quickly, he does kind of tend to have trouble if someone else is pressuring him, and that's why I didn't really push on a map like Stockades. But like one of the reasons I did push in duels was because I realized kind of in duels Darryl, first of all, it's easier for Darryl if you're getting boosted by like a Sprout or a Gene, but also on Robo maps he can much easily clear the first Robo, and on Robo maps especially you really need to aim to clear the first Robo so that you have enough power-ups so no one contends the second Robo. You really need to be getting Robo on Robo maps, unless like if you don't really get the first Robo, the other thing you can just do is go for a second, just camp for a second. The team that already has like 20 power-ups can take out everyone else out, so just don't show yourself. But that's kind of one of the hard things that people find hard about Robo maps. It's just they don't realize that they really have to be playing very aggressive at the start, and pushing everyone out, and especially with the Sprout, he can also help take out Robo because it's just his range just forces everyone out so that you have enough so that they kind of don't try to get Robo. And also, like, we already have 13 power-ups, so even if the Crow did get the Robo, they couldn't win, because it's like we already got kind of so fat with all the power-ups. But here, they did get it, and that's kind of one of the things you see. It's like, if you're not the 20 power-up team, then people are going to contend the Robo with you, and if you're wasting all your shots on the Robo, then they'll have a really easy time killing you. So that's why kind of you really, against Robo, you really need to like be the first team to get Robo and then get it consistently onwards. And you can see in Feast or Famine, that's exactly what we did. I'm going to showcase that in a little bit. So so this is kind of the other combo that works. So Sprout Darryl is obviously the best, but Gene Darryl can work really well as well. But if you have a Gene, he has to be really good at Gene. He has to consistently not only get his ult, but also consistently kind of pull. He has to pull really well. And Hawk, from your previous video, he's really good at duels, but especially he's like a Gene main. He can get his ult really fast, and also he's really good at pulling, so I could trust him. And that's really important, especially if you have like a Gene on your team. Sprout, you can be a little bit more kind of less picky when picking partners. But Gene, you have to be really picky. You have to really find a good Gene. A good Gene can really carry his team, especially a tank Gene comp, which is really good for Gene because if he pulls well, then a tank can really easily, like a Shelly or Bull or Darryl, they can really kill the person who's getting pulled. But you just really need a good Gene, and I know first of all, I've played with him a lot, and also he has a rank 35 Gene, so I knew he could be trusted. And kind of, you can see here, we're just literally taking Robo, and I don't really have to do anything. It's kind of no skilled, but there's going to be certain areas, especially pushing on Feast or Famine, that's a little bit more skilled, and I'll share with that in a little bit. But here, kind of, you can see kind of the problems with being an inexperienced Darryl like myself. I didn't play this situation perfectly. Although the right thing is, my idea was to take the Robo and then quickly get the kill, but kind of we got pushed into a corner, especially against the Brock with ult. This is not the best idea. What I should have tried to do was I should have ulted. The Robo was really far away, so I should have ulted into kind of that team early on so that Hawk we could actually get quite a good counter push, because kind of Darryl is a tank. He has a lot of health, so that probably would have saved Hawk's life. But here, although the other team did have a 15 Brock, I was a 22 Darryl, and Darryl late game against ranged characters is just it's really easy. And also he got stunned. But here we made another mistake. We jumped. We had a really bad ult, but luckily the Brock also kind of failed his gadget, or kind of we got really lucky there, and we were able to get first place. And here, also I forgot, but Krabs, he also helped a few games. But what was kind of weird about him playing with him was that he's actually from Australia and I'm from Canada, so it's like it's kind of like we got matched onto the Japanese server for some reason. It's kind of weird, but it was actually kind of funny because the Japanese server was faster matchmaking than NA server, and some of the games were also a bit easier. I don't know. If you're interested, I could do an experiment to see kind of how, if there's lag, if you're from like NA and you enter the Japanese server or something like that, if you're interested in that. But yeah, so Krabs also kind of helped. He helped me from 1200 to 1211. I know in 1000 Lakes you saw that I was at 1200, but on I didn't really have a good push. My push was just really bad. We were really not consistent for some reason. We kept getting double teamed, and in a bit I'll bring a clip of me and Apple about just one of the really kind of unlucky situation. It wasn't even luck, it was just completely unlucky, but I'll bring that up in a little bit. But kind of, yeah, Krabs doesn't have a rank 1250 or 1250 Sprout, but kind of I know that first of all, kind of kind of for duos, you really first of all need to know the person, especially if they don't have a high rank. You just need to have experience with the other person, and you have to have a pretty kind of strong teammate bond to actually make duos consistent, because it's like if one person screws up, it really lets down the entire team. If one person dies, it lets down the entire team. It's like you really have to make sure you guys play in sync, and that's something that's kind of hard to do. But here we literally have 15, and as I said before, it's like when Darryl has 15 or like twice the amount of at least twice the amount of energy as the other team, it's a really easy win. Darryl just does so much damage. And here will be the clip that I'm talking about duos can sometimes be really lucky. So Apple and I, first of all, we had a really good start. You can see we're going very aggressive against the middle, and kind of, although there's a Pam who can do a lot of damage, I knew that, first of all, I had just the amount of health necessary to survive that situation. And in the worst case, I also had my ult. So although it seemed dangerous, it really wasn't. And one thing that's kind of a really bad habit of myself is just I don't check bushes. And we actually got into quite a bit of trouble before, where it's like a team was just hiding in the bushes and we died. But luckily, kind of in this scenario, no one was hiding in the bushes. But also, kind of, if you play enough duos and solos, you almost kind of have a sixth sense about if someone's hiding in a bush, and I rely on that way too much, and kind of it works like 80% of the time, but like that like very rare 20%, it ends really badly for us. But it's also like you can use a bit of statistics to see if there's someone in the bush. Like if there's four teams, for example, like 4 people in that area, it's very likely someone's hiding in like the bush I'm in, for example. But here we make a really kind of bad mistake. Although I saw the Primo and the Bull literally charged in, and like they didn't get the best ult into us, but kind of just they were way more tanky than us, so it was a very dangerous situation. But we actually survived that encounter. We actually shouldn't have survived that. Even a Primo with like 6 power-ups does more damage than like a 10 power-up Darryl, especially like a Primo and Bull, so that was very annoying. And like it seems like they're targeting us almost. That Bull got a really good charge on us, but we still don't die here, which is kind of funny. And that El Primo kind of died, but we're still alive, which was actually kind of funny. I tried to kill the Bull, but unfortunately I was not able to, and we lost. That was a really kind of big blow, especially this was when we were at like 1243, so a win would have really kind of helped us out there. But there's just some situation in duos where it's like there's nothing you can do, and you have to deal with that sometimes, and it can be tough, but it's something you have to deal with. Some games just aren't, you can't do anything about it, so I feel like don't get mad at your teammate. Don't like leave your lobby because you had like even like 2 or 3 bad games in a row. If you know it's not based on skill but based on luck, don't leave your teammate for that. I had a bit of trouble with that with some other teammates, but kind of the teammates I was with, they were all kind of pretty understanding. They're pretty much duos, pro players in duels, so it's like they could understand kind of that it was because completely based on luck that we were having trouble winning the situation. And kind of also, although it took me kind of 15 or so hours from 1200 to 1250 trophies, a lot of it was actually just waiting for a teammate. If I had a teammate on standby always, it would have been much faster. But it's like if you're pushing from like 1200 or above, you really need to kind of screen your teammates really well. Make sure they're actually good at the game. So it's like that's why it took so long. For example, kind of super. He had to push with someone else, so it's like I had to wait for someone else to play with, and Apple was asleep. And that was kind of the reason I played with Krabs. I knew he was good, but also he's awake at like because he's Australian, he's awake when all my NA friends are asleep. So it's like I was able to push with him for a bit of trophies. So sometimes making actually international friends is a good idea. It can help you push a bit of trophies, especially if you're kind of really try hard and you really want to get something done and it's really late. And yeah, in this scenario, kind of as you saw in this game, it's we didn't have like 20 power-ups, but we still were able to win. This is something that I want to kind of bring about. It's kind of how to play Feast or Famine, because Sprout Darryl is actually a really bad combo for Feast or Famine. It's just because Darryl doesn't have enough kind of power to actually win the center in a lot of circumstances. And in most circumstances, I was actually kind of sacking. I know it's like I said, it's bad if one of your teammates die, but in this circumstance, it might actually be better, just because kind of Sprout can really carry, and Darryl, you don't really need kind of 85 power-ups to actually work well. Kind of no power-up Darryl can still work well, because in a lot of circumstances, you can do like 11k plus damage if you get a good ult in and also 3 good shots in. Even with like 1 or 2 kind of powers, so I definitely wasn't scared. But this was a bit of a scary situation. I was kind of scaring them away with my ult. Definitely there wasn't enough range, and that's something you'll learn with Darryl, that kind of his range. So it's like if they're within a certain range, if you can kind of dash into them or not. But kind of I knew in that circumstance I couldn't dash in, so I was just trying to scare them a little bit. Yeah, and in this map also you can see, although Sprout's a pretty not conventional combo, it still kind of works with all the walls, but definitely kind of Sprout in the center only works if the Darryl can kind of clear the center, and that's actually something we did in a lot of past games. But this was a pretty important game, I feel like, because Apple actually got his 1250 game, 1250 here. But I was actually 1 trophy off, so you'll see kind of in a second that I was at 1249, so that was a bit disappointing. And on our last game, or on our 1250 game, the first time around we actually got 3rd there. It was just I'm not showing this game here because it was really bad. One of my friends was sniping our game, and it was just I don't know, it was just really weird, and it didn't really work out too well. It's just like the team who wins the start gets a lot of power. And you can see here, the reason we won the game, although I didn't rush into it right away, I could tell that we weren't gonna win it. If there's like a Shelly, for example, you're not going to win the middle in a lot of circumstances. So I had to wait it out, wait for everyone to clear up, to fight each other till we had a fighting chance. And I also knew kind of in that circumstance there was not going to be anyone else in the bush, partially because everyone was already fighting, and if someone was there, they'd already be fighting in the bush. So kind of in this circumstance, because we already have middle control, you can see Sprout's really good because he has the range to kind of annoy every other team on the map. And also Darryl has the potential to keep kind of taking robots. So like in this, like at this moment, I already knew I got rank 35, because there's nothing anyone can do when we have center control and we also have like 15 power-ups, which is a lot more than everyone else on the map. So Feast or Famine, although it may seem kind of a lot of luck, there's a lot of skill also involved in kind of timing when you enter the bush. Even when you enter the bush, like where you go, there's like sometimes the best movement actually might just be kind of hide at the edge. Sometimes that's actually the best. best play to make. So so um you really have to watch out and kind of make the best play according to the situation. But yeah, so here we did actually get rank 35, and I just want to say it was definitely a tough struggle. If you really want to try rank 35 Darryl in duos at least, you really need a good teammate. I can't stress that enough. You really need to find someone who you can trust, and who's also kind of important, just the social dynamic of pushing so much, and so stressful, so high with someone. You need kind of a very someone who won't pressure you, someone who, if you make a mistake, they'll be more understanding. I definitely had a little bit of trouble with that with other teammates, but if you're pushing that high, you really need to find someone who basically you can handle for the journey. So I guess kind of with this said, if you are pushing any brawlers in the next season to rank 35, please let me know in the comments. And also let me know what you think of my Darryl video. I definitely know this was a lot longer, but I think there was a lot of kind of helpful tips that's in the video, and I hope you learned something from it, and you also achieve your rank 35 brawler if you do plan to push someone to rank 35. So with this said, thank you, and I hope you enjoyed the video. Peace out.